This is the Painters Podcast. I'm Gary Francis, and this is December 2017 edition of the Painters Podcast. And today we are going to be speaking with Kevin Hill from Kevin Hill Studios out in California. Kevin is an artist who has been very popular on YouTube. He's on a number of PBS and cable television stations around the country. And we've spoken with Kevin a couple of times in the past. Kevin, nice to catch up with you again.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
You've been painting now for quite some time. How many years has it been now?
Well, I've been painting since I was 15, so I think it's been about 7 years now. So it's been quite a while. It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Wow, that's quite a while. And you started off as an oil painter, but rumor has it now that you just recently... Well, let me back up a little bit first. In addition to doing painting videos, you have actually worked out a deal with a major paint company, the Gamblin Paint Company. They package for you, which comes, by the way, in a very nice kit. It comes the tubes of paint plus the medium and a practice cradle canvas. But that's oil paint. But I understand that now you have just recently gotten into acrylic paint. What made you do that?
That's right, we've been getting so many requests recently from people telling me that they want to do these paintings in acrylics. So finally I said, okay, I can help you with this. So I set out to try to design an acrylic paint that would work really well with similar techniques that you would use in oil. Obviously, it's not the same, but then the final product really looks like an oil painting, which is like top #1 thing for me because I didn't want to change my painting style. I was just trying to help other people that want to use acrylics instead.
Now, I've seen your brushes, and you've got some really unique acrylic brushes there now, something like I've never seen before. Can you tell us about them?
Sure. Well, first off, we've got our custom tapered round. That one's pretty interesting. Rather than being like forced into a cone shape, the bristles are cut so that the tip is really, really stiff, but then the side of the brush, I like to hold it, upside down as I call it, and the side of the brush is so soft and it's perfect for sun rays and mist because we need to have a very soft but still controllable brush for dry brush blending techniques with acrylic. We've also got the custom angled filbert. It's kind of rounded on one side. I like that one for tree leaves. That one's probably my go-to brush for close-up tree leaves with acrylic. We also have the micro filbert, which is the tiniest little filbert I've ever seen. And we put a long artist handle, and that was really important to me because I want to still be able to get back, even though it's a small brush, and paint loosely like I like to do.
For years, you've been teaching folks basically the alla prima method of painting. Can you do the same kind of painting now with acrylic? I know acrylic dries a lot faster than oil.
Well, that's actually a really good question, and my answer to that would be not so much. Although, you can kind of do it, the acrylics just don't like to be layered when they're wet. They're much happier when they're dry, so I like to just let the thing dry because you can always work on other areas. They dry pretty quick, and then you come right back and then you can do your dry brush blending, which generally works out a little better.
And now, how did you get started in painting to begin with? I mean, is this something you took up in school, or tell us a little bit about the whole process of getting to where you are today?
Well, I think I got interested in painting by watching other artists. I was watching art shows since I was really tiny, and it really did make me interested. And then around 15, I tried my first oil painting. And then I tried a few more and a couple more, and the first one dripped off the canvas. But anyway, I did have one success. It was a mountain, and I still have it. It's framed, and it wasn't good, but I thought, it was good for the time. And that kind of got me excited. I remember that. And so I just kept playing around with it and got a little better, and practice and just a little better. It doesn't happen overnight.
Now, practice and time, those are the two important things, I think, in any kind of art, whether you're sculpting or whether you're doing painting or even photography or something. But I know once before you mentioned in one of your classes what I think is the golden rule of painting, and that is if it makes sense, try it.
Absolutely. It's important to kind of think through why you're doing something. You don't want to just kind of go through a painting randomly hoping it's going to work out. For instance, take like a tree. You see in nature tons of colors in the tree, but yet when you get up to a canvas, you think, I'm going to paint it green. So this is kind of one of those, those things. You have to think about wait, that tree's not green. It's got brown, it's got blue, it's got gold and red and all sorts of pretty colors in it. And then when you put that in your painting, it just comes to life. Another example, if you're going to be working on something that's really dark, before highlighting, wipe the area with a paper towel. The reason? Because we don't want it to mix too much. We want to highlight bright. And these are just common sense things that you can kind of do.
Well, I've often heard from a lot of painters, for example, that snow is not really white.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that. There needs to be a lot of color in snow.
But now, would you normally, let's say you're doing snow or sand or something like that, or even the reflections or the highlights on a mountaintop, would you just randomly pick colors, or do you always have to go with the colors that are in the sky on that given day?
Well, that's a great question. And it's something that I didn't actually know when I first started painting. I would, paint a beautiful sunset sky, and then I put a blue lake in it. And that really just didn't look right, and I couldn't quite figure out why. Well, eventually I figured out, by looking at photos or just, in nature. And if you pay attention, you really start to see these things when you're out. And so I noticed that, the water does reflect the sky. So once you start, things like that, start learning from nature, and it all works out a little better.
So let's say, for example, that it's a crystal clear blue sky, then you're not going to have oranges and pinks in your snow.
That's exactly right. The colors have to match. They have to be consistent for the painting to look right. And I even like to put a little yellow or, the sunset colors in the trees or the grass or whatever to really tie everything together with color.
Now, how many PBS shows have you done so far?
Well, we just wrapped up season 4, so I think we have about 52 episodes, if I'm remembering correctly. And if you haven't caught any of them yet, you can actually go to the website. We have a couple of seasons up there for sale that you can download.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Now, you also have a number of instructional DVDs out there, and there are a couple of ways a person can watch those, isn't there?
That's right. Of course, you have the classic DVD, which is just put in a box and mailed to you. Or if you'd rather, you can do the digital downloads, which of course saves on time and shipping costs, which is always a nice thing.
Now, you've also done something rather unique over the years. You've done some live painting sessions on Facebook.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, they were on YouTube, and I think they went really well. People enjoyed them. I had a lot of fun, so that was nice. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail yet. I'm not doing any announcements, but I'm working on something to help my students kind of connect with me better and help me to teach them in very specific ways with what they personally need help with. I'm not gonna give you any details yet because I don't know, but we're working on something. So just keep an eye out for that.
Now, for the folks that don't know a lot about you, tell us a little bit where you're located. I mentioned you're in California. Are you like right by Malibu at the ocean there, or when you go out the door, what do you see?
Well, I see pretty much brown and tan everywhere, including the trees. We do live in the desert. In fact, if you've seen any of the plein air painting videos recently on YouTube, it's not the same area, but it's not too far away. It gives you an idea of the color.
So you're more in the desert than you are near the
More in the
ocean.
desert, yeah.
Now, for the folks who are not familiar with your videos, you have how many on YouTube now, and how do people find them?
Well, we have about 300. I think it's a little over 300. And it's pretty easy for people to find. You can just put Kevin Hill in the search. Don't forget to subscribe, too.
Excellent, excellent. Now, what about for folks who are interested in actually holding something in their hand, so to speak, whether it's on the computer screen or actually physically printed out? Do you have any kind of an update or a newsletter or anything like that?
Absolutely. We do have a newsletter, and you can go to the website, paintwithkevin.com, and you can sign up for it right there. You also will receive our 5 tips painting video for free, which is just kind of a few tips that, I kind of learned and needed as I was going, so I put them in a quick, I think it's like a 20-minute video for people to learn, and hopefully it helps.
Now, I understand that you now have come up with a book on Amazon. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. It was actually taken from the 5 tips video. It's basically the same information, just kind of in a book form. Now, this one you do have to pay 99 cents for, but it's really to help other people who are, looking around for instruction, kind of help get them interested in this style of painting, and then they can branch out and explore different avenues from there.
Now, what about the paintings that you actually use? Because you must have, dozens, if not hundreds of paintings. I mean, you've got a couple of hundred YouTube videos. You have 52 PBS videos. Then you have training videos. And then you've got various video packages you've come out with and packets that you've come out with of paintings. So for every painting that you've done, you've got at least one or two canvases. What happens to all those? Are those like being sold all the time, or what happens to them?
Well, that's actually kind of a funny question. So this is how it normally goes. I'll be about halfway done with the painting, maybe 3/4 of the way done. My wife will come in and look at it, and she'll go, okay, I have dibs on that one. You can't sell that one. So that's pretty much how it goes. So we've got stacks of paintings, and maybe one day we'll get them up on the wall. That would be kind of fun. I do sell some, just not a ton.
And of course, I'm sure there are some people out there who also collect your paintings.
There are a few.
I think I have about 35 of them in various places hanging up.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Now, for the folks who have heard your other podcasts, there have been some changes in your life over the past couple of years. About, 2 years ago, there became a Mrs. Kevin Hill.
Yeah, that's right. A couple of years ago, I did get married. And if you follow us on Facebook, you probably already know this. And actually, I do several of my paintings have come from Sophie's pictures. She likes taking pictures, and I like painting them. Now, the other news is we found out there's going to be another little addition to the family, too.
Which, for a long time, I've suggested you call Filbert. But
yes, you and many other people.
Now, when is Kevin Jr. coming?
He'll be here in a few more weeks, so it's close. It's
so
close.
Kind of special Christmas present.
It is, yeah. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook if you want more updates and, fun stuff like that.
All right. So some of your brush sets or your paint sets or your DVDs would make some great Christmas presents for people.
Yeah, they definitely would. In fact, we're running a huge Christmas sale right now. In fact, this is the biggest one we've done so far. It's for a limited time only, a couple more weeks left. So if you haven't already taken advantage of it, go to the website. There's all sorts of special offers there that you can choose from.
Excellent. Now, for the people who are getting into the acrylic now, and I'm assuming that the reason why people are asking you about acrylic is because of the fact that you can rinse the brushes and wash the brushes with water and not have to use the solvents that some people may be allergic to and some people are just afraid of. But can you use those acrylic brushes for both oil and acrylic? Let's say you had two sets. I mean, I probably would not recommend a person ever use the same brush for acrylic paint and then the next day use it for oil. Can the acrylic brushes be used as oil brushes?
They can. Now, it's not the other way around. You would not want to use your oil brushes for acrylic because the oil brushes don't like the water so much. But the acrylic brushes would work for oil painting because they're mostly synthetic. There's a couple of natural ones in there, but it's all good and it would work out pretty well. Now, the one thing I would say is I would take, if you're an acrylic and an oil painter, I would take a piece of tape or something and wrap around the handle. Just, okay, these are my brushes for oil painting, even though they say acrylic on them. And then you got your regular acrylics. That just keeps them separate because I don't like to mix my brushes.
Sure. Well, now, one thing that I did years ago when I first started painting is I got some of that, what's it called? Plasti-Dip. And I got the bright red, and I dipped the handles of one set of brushes in the Plasti-Dip so that the last 2 inches of the handle is a different color. And that way there, I know those are acrylic-only brushes. So a person can also do that.
I like that. I'm going to have to give that a try.
All right. Kevin, for those that want to find your website, what is the web address?
The website is paintwithkevin.com.
And they can link to everything from that one site. They can get to YouTube. They can get to some of your PBS videos. That's kind of like the starting point for everything.
It is. You can really start there and kind of go anywhere you want.
All right. Very good. We've been speaking with Kevin Hill from paintwithkevin.com today. Kevin, we want to thank you for talking with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.
All right. Me too. I'm Gary Francis. This has been the December 2017 issue of the Painters Podcast. I want to thank Kevin Hill for joining us today and be checking in with us again in the near future for the next edition of the Painters Podcast.